Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another live iThemes training event. My name is Nathan Ingram. I'm the host at iThemes Training, and it is the first Tuesday of the month, which means it's plugin roundup here on iThemes Training. Once a month, usually the first Tuesday, we take a look at the WordPress plugin directory and we grab, about a dozen or so plugins that we found interesting, and we bring those to you in a little thing we call the plugin roundup. We've been doing this now for a very long time, many years. And this is going to be a fun time together. If you're just joining us in Zoom, open up the chat, say hi. Therein, you will also find the link to download this month's plugin list, which you now see on the screen for September 2023. As always, we give you the disclaimer that we haven't fully vetted and thoroughly tested these plugins. These are just things that we found to be interesting. And if you're going to use these in client sites, you should make wise decisions about whether or not to implement those. Check them for compatibility and bugs and privacy and accessibility and all the things that you would normally do. These are just plugins that have been recently added to or updated in the free WordPress plugin directory, and we thought you might want to take a look. So with that, we begin with our first plugin, which is called Simple Sitemap. Now, having a human sitemap for your site is always really helpful. Having a sitemap link at the bottom where you can click and there's a list of all the pages, that's helpful for users in general, can be possibly helpful for SEO, but also it's especially important for accessibility if you can have a readable list of all your pages and posts. Paul, you're saying the link is bad? Let's see. No, it works. Or are you saying the link to download the plugin list is bad? Oh, well, nobody cares about Chris's link. Good grief. Okay. You're killing me, Paul. All right. So let's rewinding back to Simple Sitemap, right? So Simple Sitemap is a great way in the block editor to drop out a list of all your pages in a nice little sitemap for your visitors. So let's take a look at that, shall we? Simple Sitemap. So I've got a little page set up here. First of all, we should activate the plugin because inactive plugins don't do anything for you at all. That's just my little tip for you today. Simple Sitemap. Let's activate that plugin. And let's see here. Right here, we now have a page where I've set this thing up just for you to take a quick look. All right. Or maybe, there it is. Okay. So Simple Sitemap is a block. And if you take a look, there's actually two blocks that this plugin adds. The first is just a simple sitemap, and the other is a group. And so actually, I'm just going to remove these and we'll start from scratch and I'll show you how this works. So let's just use our basic simple sitemap here. And over here, right, so by default, it's just going to give you a list of pages that are on your site. It's a bulleted list. It is hierarchical if you want it to be so. And you have the page titles, and it's really nice. Just there it is, list of pages, click through, good to go. Now, there are some options here. So, title, post type label would be pages. If you turn that off, then it wouldn't show pages anymore. You can actually set it to show the excerpt, which I think is kind of cool. You can make it linkable or not. Not quite sure why you'd want to have a sitemap with no links, but you can do that if you'd like. You can also open your links in a new tab. So you can actually change the label of the post type that is in question. You can make it, yes. So if you have multiple post types, for example, if you want to add posts to this list, then you could have your things in tabs there. I'm not real keen on that, but it does have that option. So that's how this works. And so you can do pages, posts, either, and whatnot. So that is the simple block. Now let's look at the other block this adds, which is a sitemap group. And this was kind of cool because what it will do is this is going to only work with posts, but you can group them by categories or tags. And so here you see our list of posts. Here's a category and the posts that are in that category. So that's kind of cool. Do you want to display the post type label? You may or may not, depends on that. You want the excerpt, you want it to link just like the other. What am I ordering by, date, title, whatever. So that's kind of cool. Now, a couple things. Does it work with custom post types? Yes, but in the pro version, right? So that is an upgrade to the pro version. The free version only shows pages and posts. If you want a custom post type, including WooCommerce products, that sort of thing, you do have to upgrade. But for a basic, simple sitemap for a brochure site that's only using pages and posts, works out really, really well. Can you exclude pages? I don't believe you can. Sitemap. I don't believe you can. No, it doesn't have a way to exclude pages, but if you have private pages, they're not going to show up. So it does have to be public pages. Sue, it will show password protected pages. I'm assuming we'd have to test that. But it's going to show published pages. So there you go. Pretty neat little plugin, works really well. Very easy to create a sitemap. So any other questions or comments on this one before we move on? That is Simple Sitemap by David Guire. All right, moving down the list for our next one, which is interesting, and you might find a use for this. This is called Domain for Sale. And this is for an instance where you want to sell a domain name, and maybe you want to customize the way that page looks. A lot of domain registrars have a for sale option where you can throw up a parked page, but usually they're advertising their own stuff on that. And so if you want your own customized domain for sale page, this is a really easy way to do it. So let me go here and activate Domain for Sale. Right there it is. By Theme Atelier. All right. Do I want to allow tracking? No. All right. Let's grab our domain for sale settings. And so we have some options, right? Now there's an on-off toggle, so you can activate it and nothing happens. But when we get ready, we'll turn this on and it'll start to do some things. So we can add a fave icon. And then we can start to customize, what our background looks like, what our typography looks like, et cetera, et cetera. You can change the site title, description, and keywords here. There's some, information here. You'll see where this shows up on the front end in a minute. So price, domain name, sale title, some content. There's a contact form where you can fill out some things, to get the contact form done. Pretty good. And then it also has a neat thing where you can import, export from, one thing to the other. So if you get a style you like and everything, you can just push that over to another site you're trying to sell. So we toggle this on. And if we go now to WP Nathan in incognito, here's what it looks like. Oh, helps when you save your setting. That's all. Yeah, it's always a good thing. All right, so there's my domain for sale page. Decent, simple. My colors are not great. So let's do maybe something more like this. It looks kind of Marvel-ish in that one. There's only these 4 color schemes, so you don't have a lot of option there. You could probably do something with CSS. That looks a little better. And so it's a basic domain for sale page. It's a landing page. If you want to sell your domain, there it is. It does require WordPress to be installed. And here's the other thing. On the front end of the site, it's going to redirect every page here. So it's going to redirect all my URLs right back to this landing page. So yeah, Sue, not only does it replace the home page, it shows up on every page, right? So this could be a site maybe that was alive for a while, and now you want to just sell it. You can just add this plugin, boom, there it is. It's for sale, and it takes over the whole site. So, yep, that's it. That is Domain for Sale from Theme Atelier. Questions or comments on that one? The pro version is $29. You get different template options and some other things. There you go. Stacy, for clients who don't pay their bill, make sure you have that situation covered in your contract if you're going to do that. Yeah. Taking a client's domain offline has consequences, both for them and for you. All right. Any other questions or comments on this one before we move on? All right. Let's scroll on down the list to a plugin, which I have mixed feelings about, but I bring it up and put it on the list because of a discussion that was occurring in a recent office hours where someone asked the question, is there a plugin that will go through and help me clean up old content on a site? And the answer is yes. It's called Delete Old Posts and Pictures. And let me just go through here really quick and clean up some of these things that are plugins that we have activated that we need to deactivate. Okay. All right. So clean up old posts and pictures. Let me show you what this plugin does. Now, you will note that I have multiple warnings in the notes on this one, right? So first of all, you want to make sure that you back up, because when you delete with this plugin, they're really deleted. Gone is gone. Deleted is deleted. Permanent is permanent. There is no recovery unless you've made a backup. So you 100% want to have a backup, possibly 2, and maybe even 3, just to be sure. But once this is going to work for you, you've tried it, maybe tested on a staging site, it could work for you pretty well. Now, when you activate this plugin, it adds its own top level menu item for some, reason. And so this is it. This is what you get. Delete entries that are 6 months old and older. So it only goes in months. You can't do number of days. It is only in months. But with this setting, you can delete posts that are older than 6 months. I believe that does include pages as well. And then delete old pictures that are older than that. So that is it. I bring this up simply because people asked about it in office hours. And yes, there is a plugin that does something similar to cleaning up your site from old content. If it was me, though, I would probably go through and hand delete things. But, if you want to live on the wild side, you have Delete Old Posts and Pictures by Wisehawk plugins. There you go. Questions or comments about that one? Did I give enough caveat and disclaimer on that plugin? I think I did my due diligence there. Okay, let's move down the list, shall we? Okay. All right, we're going to have a few WooCommerce plugins here. There was a number of WooCommerce plugins, lots of them, as a matter of fact, added to the directory this past month. And we've got a few of the better ones, I think. The first one is simple, but I think helpful. This is admin, previous, and next order links for WooCommerce. So one of the things about getting into WooCommerce and dealing with fulfilling orders and so forth is that you get a lot of clicking back and forth, So like you fulfill an order, then you got to go back to the order list and click an order, then go into that one. There isn't like just go to the next order in the list. That's what this plugin does. So let's activate this plugin. Admin, right here it is. Okay. So it does a very simple thing, which you're either going to love or hate. And so let's go to this order. And right there, there's previous orders and there's next orders. So you can do what you need to do, complete the order, and then go to the next one. And now we have navigation. We only had previous order on the one before because it was the latest order. So now you see you have forward and back navigation on the orders. This is all this plugin does. But honestly, if you've got a stack of orders, this can save a little time, and it's kind of nice. Plus, you've got buttons right here that look like they're ready to party like it's 1999. So, you got some really awesome CSS happening here. So, why not just add it for that? That's what it does. Admin, previous order, next order links for WooCommerce. That's it. Pretty good and helpful if you've got lots of things to do. Questions or comments on that one? Pretty straightforward, right? All right. Next up, generate random orders for WooCommerce. This one you might find to be pretty helpful if you are testing out either a new site or you're testing some changes that you've made to an order process. And what this is going to do when you activate it is, believe it or not, it's going to generate some random orders for WooCommerce. So I know that's hard to figure out from the name of the plugin, but that's actually what this does. So let me activate this plugin, and it's going to allow you to create a certain number of things. So hit WooCommerce and then random orders is where this is located. And how many orders do we want to generate? Let's say, I don't want to do 100 because then I have to delete them all, but let's do 5. And so what's actually happening here is this script is creating an orders.json file in the root of the WordPress directory, which in this case would be the public HTML folder. And it generates that, and then it gets WooCommerce to import that file. Now, with that button, so, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to check this box, but you probably always have this box checked, because that tells the plugin, after you've imported the orders, go delete that orders.json file. I don't think I want that sitting out in my root directory. It's probably not a big deal. I just don't want that stuff out there. So anyway, we're going to hit generate. It's creating the JSON file, and it's going to run the importer. Okay, there they are. Okay, so 4 items. It just randomly generated a bunch of things. And so here they all are, right? So random items were added and so forth. We can take a look at, all this stuff, the stock level. You can check and make sure that, your inventory management is working, all of this. The other thing that's happening at this point is Chris just got 5 emails, because I think Chris just got 5 emails because his name is on the admin part of this WooCommerce site. But it lets you test all of that. It lets you see how the orders are going to look and just make sure everything is set. The other neat thing that it does is at least one of these. Let me see. Like, you can check your shipping based on the garbage addresses that it creates. It also, if you have coupons set up, at least one of the orders will include a coupon, just so you can make sure all that's working. So it's kind of nice. It's just a tester. It doesn't give you a lot of granular control over what you're testing. It's just going to generate some random orders and kind of hit the high points of your WooCommerce system. Especially helpful for, just watching how things go. And if you need to demo a site for somebody, this is a great way to drop some orders in it. So that is generate random orders for WooCommerce from WP Zone. Any questions or comments on that one? Paul, does it indicate it is a fake order? Not other than the fact that it's John Smith and that you just did the randoms and you can see when that happened. I mean, the order name was John Smith and Jane Doe. So yeah. So no, John is asking, does it link to Stripe? No, this is bypassing the payment process. So it tests the whole process. It's generating orders in WooCommerce. It's not testing the payment system. So this is for testing just the WooCommerce side of things. It's not actually creating orders all the way through Stripe. And then when you're done, you just go through and delete. Move. And you're done. Questions or comments on that one? Okie dokie. Moving down the list, Chris really likes this one. This is WooCommerce product filters by iFlare. So if you have a WooCommerce store and you want to get some really nice filters, maybe in a sidebar to select from categories or that sort of thing, nice Ajax filters that update your pricing grid as soon as you make some changes. This is a really simple way to do that. Now, I will say there are better ways to do it, especially in the premium plugin world. But for a simple store and for free, this works really well. It just does. It has basic filters and it just, you put it in there and it works. So let's go in here and activate this WooCommerce product filters by iFlare. Okay. And what this is going to do is completely take over your shop page. So that's one of the downsides of this. It fully takes over your shop page. So but you can, of course, go in with CSS and that sort of thing. If you're using something like Cadence Shop Kit or other things, or in the customizer to tweak how your shop looks, You'll want to test this to make sure what's going to be affected. But again, for a basic shop, here you go. Look, choose options for sorting. So you can change that really easily. It gives a really nice Ajax product search. You can also search by, category here. But yeah, I mean, it looks decent out of the box, and it's, it's basic filtering, and it works really well, and it looks good. I mean, I have no problems with this. Does it search words? Sure. Yeah, I just did one. Helmet. Let me get rid of all my filters here. So let's just say we want storm. If we just search for storm, it's going to match that. Yep. It searches whatever you want here. Category is under here, right? So you can, here are our current store categories. And so you can filter just by category there. But the search is by product name. Now there are some, let's see, this is the top level. Yes. No product. Yes. All right. So there is a settings page again, top level menu item for this, and it lets you set, how many columns for the shop page, how many do you want to load, what happens when you use the load more button. Let's just say if we had 3 columns on the shop page, we wanted to show 6 and load 6 more. We ought to get our load more button now. Interesting. We have to get into that. Something's not doing quite right here. One thing is nice here is this button here that says store filter data in the URL. And so notice up here, we've got query strings. And so, you could link directly to this page, which is kind of nice. If you have a blog post or something that only has certain things, then, just even an incognito window, it's going to show your filters based on the query string, which is kind of cool. So that is WooCommerce product filters by iFlare. Sue is asking about the search, and it says by product name. Let's just say, okay, spin. Let's see if it'll find the word spin, which is in the description. And it does. Yeah. So product name, description. Yeah. It searches by not just the product name, but by some of the details in the product. You'd want to test that to see what it actually is going to search for. Any other questions, comments about this one? WooCommerce product filters by iFlare. All right, moving on down the list. Face correctly. Annoying. Okay. Next is the final WooCommerce plugin for today. It's called Upsell Smart Pop-Up, and you're going to love this or hate it. I doubt there are very few people who are going to have an in-between opinion on this. It does create a pop-up in your checkout flow, but honestly, I hate these things, but they do convert, and people do buy them if the offer is correct. So let's take a look at this and activate WooCommerce, or no, just Upsell Smart Pop-Up. Upsell Smart Pop-Up. There it is. So we are at WooCommerce settings, Upsell Smart Pop-Up. Okay. So this gives us 2 options. There is a cart upsell. So if you have this enabled, then when you go to the cart, it's going to give a pop-up with some suggestions, or a checkout upsell. So when you go to the checkout page, it could have a pop-up. You can do one, either, or both by having those enabled. So I'm just going to we have the cart upsell on. You can have your own heading there, what the delay is after they hit the page. And then you add the product ID. Now, this is a little clunky to me. I wish this would do differently, but so we have a product ID 443. I can't remember which one that is. You'll see it in a minute. And then you could say enable the smart pop-up only if the cart is above $25, for example, and under, I don't know, whatever amount. So you can set it on cart amounts. You can hide the upsell product. So if we only want 443 to be available if they have a cart over $25, awesome. And this could be like a free product that you get if your cart is over X amount, and give them the option to, to add that, for example. And then you can set it to only sell one of those if you want. But let me just show you what this looks like on the front end. So if we were to, let's just, I don't have anything. Let's just add something to the cart, and we'll get here and just in a couple of oh no, I got to go to the cart. When I go to the cart, after a couple of seconds, we get the pop-up. So do I want to add this? Sure, let's add that to the cart. And it's going to add it to the cart. So yeah. Yeah, the snazzy blue helmet comes in red. I'm not sure where that came from. It was some demo product that we did one time. Yes, Beth, this works with WooCommerce. It doesn't work with anything else. It is a WooCommerce add-on. So it just interrupts the checkout flow. It can be used in, with cart minimums and so forth. Could be really helpful. And I mean, as annoying as these things are, they actually do convert. They do actually work. Every study I've ever read says that, yeah, they work. So that is upsell smart pop-up. Any other questions or comments on this? Beth says she needs this. Well, hey, Beth, here's the URL right there. You can have it for free. Any other questions or comments on this one? All right. All right, let's move along to our next plugin on the list, which is Show Post ID with Sorting. Okay, so this will see how long you folks have been around iThemes training. How many of you remember the plugin that we always used to talk about called Simply Show IDs? Simply Show IDs. So that it's been around forever and ever, except it got abandoned a million years ago. And you can't, there's another one called Show IDs by 99 Robots, which is, it works just fine. They have some other stuff that they throw in there. This is a really good, simple plugin that lets you, it shows the post ID in the post column and then lets you sort it, which is really, really helpful. But it does one other thing that I think you'll like as well. So Show Post ID with Sorting. Let's find that. Show, where is it? WP. See, this is where developers get me annoyed because it's different. Their title in the repository is this, but it shows up in your list as this. So let's activate WP Apps Show Post ID. And now, I don't think there are any settings. No. So let's look at our post list. And we have our really nice little column right there. Boom, reveal the post ID. There it is. And sometimes you need this for various things. It's actually becoming less and less needed. It used to be, I was looking for these things all the time, and it's not quite so much anymore. But the neat thing that this one does that Simply Show IDs never did before was make it sortable. So I can sort, by ascending or descending in my post IDs. That can be really helpful. The other thing that's cool that this one does is that it gives you this copy post IDs option. So let's just say I want to get a bunch of WooCommerce products to show. And I want to show products that are, I need to search for something. WooCommerce products that contain the word power. How many do we have any? Yes. Okay. Several. Okay. Watch this. This is cool. So I can bulk select these and hit copy post IDs. And this is what it just copied to my clipboard. A comma separated list of all the selected posts. Now, why would this be helpful, you might say? Well, what you can do then is you can come into a page Oh my goodness, I can't type. Okay. We can come into a page. We can, whoops, that's not what I want. I want post grid carousel, the cadence one. And then look here, I can select post by individually. And then I should, nope, I can't do that. Maybe, okay, maybe I have to use the WooCommerce one. Product. Let's see, filters. Oh, got it. Where's, let's see. All right, I'm struggling here. There is one of these post grids where you can just drop in a list of all the IDs. Or Paul, like for the upsell plugin. I don't know if it'll let you put a series of those. Matter of fact, let's just try that because my current demo is not going very well. I wonder if it'll let us do that. Let's see. I mean, the only thing it's going to do is break. Yeah, if you copy and paste post IDs into a short code, this is really super cool. Let's see if this actually works. I need to come back into the cart. No, I think we just confused it. So that didn't work. But yeah, there's oftentimes where you'll need this comma separated list of IDs, and this will let you do that. The other thing this does is look up here on the front end of the site, it shows ideas up here in the admin toolbar. So it's a little utility. It's pretty handy that you might need from time to time on certain sites. And it is called Show Post ID with Sorting from WP Apps. All right. Any other questions or comments on that one? I kind of like this one. All right. Next up, for anyone who is the events calendar user, a user of the events calendar, you might like this little plugin because what it's going to do is make it very, very easy for you to display a quick event list based on the criteria that you have selected. One thing about the events calendar, it's a very powerful plugin, but it doesn't have an easy way just to put a little event block in that's customizable to how you want it to look. And this is going to let you do that pretty simply. So let's go into event shortcodes for the events calendar. And let me show you how this works. So now it does give you this events add-ons, which is useless. I'm just going to say it does let you see all the other plugins they have, but it's kind of annoying. It does have some, basic CSS setup for the way the grid is going to display, which is kind of cool. But let me show you the demo page and how easy this is. So there's a few built-in styles here. Here's our first style for a set of events. Here's our second style. Here's our third style. I mean, they're decent. They're decent, and they're fairly easy to style with CSS. And here's how they work. So they're gigantic short codes. But let me just remove these and we'll do a brand new one and you'll see how easy it is to create one of these. Because basically what this is going to do, there is a block and it need to be the other one. Delete the second block. This opens up our little modal window that lets us put the short code together. Now, why do you have a short code with the block, you might ask? Well, because that's how the events calendar pulls things in, is with short codes. It just is what it is. So here we can show, which event categories do we want to show? What is our template that we want to use? So we have the option of timeline and then 3 different styles. And you saw those 3 styles in the last, when we previewed it. You'd want to play around with this a little and understand what the styles are before you select one, obviously. What is my date format? We're going to say January 1, 2019. How many events do I want to show? In what order? Am I hiding the venue? Do we want past or future or only upcoming? Is there a social share button? And then I can select by date range. Get it the way you want it. Hit insert short code, and boom, there it is. Save the page, view the page, and we have what we just asked for. There's our timeline view. So that's how this works. It's a nice little add-on. Stacy, can you use it without blocks? Yes. You would just need to get the short code. So let's see, short code attributes. So right here, I'm again at the dashboard under short code settings and then attributes. You can copy the short code here and then just change the data inside the short code, and it tells you what your options are in this table underneath. So it's really simple to, change this yourself. Yeah, you don't have to have the block editor work. The block editor is just there to launch that modal window to drop in the short code, which is, it is what it is. So that's event short codes for the events calendar from Cool Plugins. Any other questions or comments on that one? Okie dokie, moving down the list. All right, this is a fun plugin. This is called VK Dynamic If Block. Now, this plugin, I'm very interested in it because what it does is create a container in which you can put other blocks. This is a block plugin. So it's a container in the block editor in which you can put whatever blocks you want. And then it has some advanced conditionals on it for how that container will display. So for example, Cadence does this in some way. Matter of fact, instead of talking about it, I will just show you. Cadence has some conditional options on the row and section blocks. Oh, you know what? Again, always helps when you activate the plugin first before you try to use it. There we go. Okay. All right. So if we were to just drop in a Cadence row here, for example, you have many options. Let me just put something in here. Okay. Okay. So we've got a row block, and under advanced, you've got various options here, right? Like conditional display, you can toggle that on. And if post custom field title, blah, 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 isn't empty, whatever, you have those options, right? Now, what this does is it gives you a little bit more capability on the conditional display. So if I go to this, and by the way, this inserts like any other block. It's just a dynamic if, and when it shows up, it puts this little dotted box around, and you can see it in the list. It shows up kind of like a Cadence row does. It's just a wrapper. And here's what our options are. So our display conditions. What is the page type? You have those options. So a lot of these are the standard WordPress conditionals is what this is tapping into. If you remember the old widget logic plugins from way back in the day, these are similar options to those. So you've got page type, you've got post type restrictions. The user role restrictions only show in this certain context. This is also really cool. If the custom field test has the value of something, then so if you have a custom field on your page or post and you've got this if block, you can test that custom field and show the block if the custom field contains some certain content or if it's not empty. you can do something there. So that's kind of cool. You can also set publish time, right? So you can say set to display for the specified period, right? So you can have this block on your page that's only going to display in a certain date range, which is cool. But what you also just saw was, look at this. You could have a date in a custom field, and it can pull that date in to say, this is when I want you to display. So that's pretty darn cool. Really, it's advanced. It's not for everybody. But if you get what I'm talking about here and the power of the conditions at this block, you're immediately seeing, oh, this has some possibilities in advanced use cases, right? So you can also test the number of days from a certain day. Anyway, there's lots of different options here that allow you to stack conditions in ways that are actually a little better than a cadence row. So it's kind of neat. That is VK Dynamic If Block by Vector Incorporated. Questions, comments about this one? You see the possibilities here? If you're doing some advanced building, this is going to give you a really cool tool. All right, the chat is silent. We will move on to the next one, which is called Core Rollback. Core Rollback. Now, a little bit of trivia here. The developer of this plugin is Andy Fragan, actually Dr. Andy Fragan. Dr. Fragan is an active contributor to WordPress Core. He has been for many years. WordPress is his hobby because his day job is he's a practicing surgeon who in his free time contributes to WordPress Core. This guy's amazing. He's been around for quite a while. Look him up. He's got a lot of plugins and a lot of contributions in WordPress Core. Anyway, this is one of his plugins, and it is called Core Rollback. Core Rollback. And it's particularly helpful if you have a need to roll back the version of WordPress Core. So I know a lot of folks just think, gosh, if I update WordPress and something breaks, then I've got to restore a backup and it gets complicated. This is actually a plugin that will let you roll back your core version in a very safe way. So let's activate Core Rollback. And now we have, it's under updates. Oh no, tools. Okay. So tools, core, rollback core is right here. And you have a drop-down list of all the safe versions of WordPress to roll you back, that you can roll back to. So these are the versions of WordPress that are currently being kept secure by the WordPress core team. So, the last version of WordPress 6.2, of 6.1, of 6.0, 5.9, 5.8, and so forth. So these final dot versions are the last secure version of, in that case, WordPress 5.4. And so if I want to roll back, let's roll back to WordPress 5.4. We're going to hit roll back. It's a two-step process. So once we do this, now we say, I want to reinstall version 5.4. So it is now doing that. It's pulling in WordPress 5.4 from the WordPress repo. Oh, and something broke. Now I may have a problem. I may have a real problem. I think we just broke the world. Okay, now we get to figure out how to fix this because I wasn't anticipating this. Okay, so if it breaks, then you're toast. So what we got to do, it's probably a plugin that is incompatible, one of these old junky plugins that I'm using. So what we're going to do, this is how we rescue ourselves. We pull up our file manager. We're going to first go into WP content, and we are going to change the name of our plugin folder so none of them work anymore. And let's see if that fixes our problem. And it does. Now we're going to update to WordPress 6.3 again really quick. And it'll be working again. All right, let's rename our plugins folder. Okay, so when you do this, just be careful how far you're rolling back. You would probably never roll back that far. So now all our plugins are back. That was fun. Let's try this again, shall we? With a more actual. Okay, so the better use case for this would be, we're currently on WordPress 6.3.1. And let's say we were on 6.3 and the 6.3.1 update broke something, right? Well, I want to roll back to WordPress 6.3. So let's do that. And that's not going to break anything. We're going to reinstall WordPress 6.3, downloading, done. And now we're back on WordPress 6.3. That's how that works. And it's really easy. If you want to roll back to, the 6.2, the latest version of 6.2, if you have an issue with 6.3, there you go. Stacy's saying Elementor had issues with WordPress 6.3. Well, right there. Let's roll back to 6.2. And we're done. So now we're on 6.2. And if when we get ready to upgrade, we just do the regular upgrade routine and upgrade to 6.3.1. Okay, so we broke and fixed WordPress really quickly there, but I think you can see the value of this nifty little plugin called Core Rollback by Andy Fragan. Probably not one you're going to want to have on every single site, but it will let you roll back just in case. So this is definitely one for the back pocket or for your toolbox in case you ever have an issue with an update breaking your site. Questions, comments about this one? No, you cannot roll back all the way to B2 Cafe Log. I don't think that works past PHP 4 or something. Okay, moving down the list. Okay, for those of you who have membership sites, you might like this plugin. Depending on how your membership site handles this sort of situation. The new user approve plugin basically drops in and interrupts the standard flow of a user sign up on your WordPress site. So what's going to happen when we activate this plugin is that an interstitial step, that's kind of a redundancy. Anyway, it's going to drop an interim step in our user registration flow. So normally what happens if I have in my WordPress site this setting checked for anyone can register under general, then you can just register, set up your username and password. You can immediately log in as a subscriber and do whatever. Now, there may be certain cases where you want to approve anyone who is going to, log into your site, right? You may want to have an approval process set up. And if your membership plugin doesn't do that, many of them don't, or if you don't want a whole membership plugin just for this one feature, this is a really great plugin that does exactly that. So did I activate that? I don't think I did. New user approved, right there. All right, so this is now done. And we're going to skip our access to all my data thing. Okay, so notice there is now a new top level menu for this thing, which is basically all garbage. This is one of those things where this would really be a sub menu. All this stuff is just upgrade garbage, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, here's the process. This will show you if you have any users who've requested activation. This is a list of users you've approved or that are approved to log into your site. These are things you've denied. And the cool thing here, we'll get to it in a minute, this will integrate with Zapier for some advanced integrations. So what you'll do is, let's just log in. Let me get an incognito window up. Okay, so if I'm going to register, now at this point, what just happened is you get a new message. An email has been sent to the site administrator. They're going to review it. You'll receive an email with instructions on what to do next. Now, as a site administrator, I just got an email. Let me see if I can pull that up for you real quick. Got to verify myself. Yes, I am me. Chris, you may have gotten this email. I wonder if Somebody got this email and it wasn't me. Let's see. Spam. Nope. Okay, something happened with, okay, well, we have pending users here. We can just look at it here. So the administrator would get an email saying somebody has requested access. Right here, I can click approve. So that's done. They're in the approved list. And the person that logged in just got an email that said your membership has been approved. Click here to reset your password. So basically, it just drops a middle step in the registration process and then allows, the approval, and then the person can set their password. So pretty cool. Really nice if you need to, validate who's actually having access, but you want people to be able to register on their own. The other thing that's really neat here is this invitation code. So we can, you can add, so it's the pro version auto generates, but if you just come up with you could use Chat GPT for this. Give me a, list of 10 8-character random strings, right? So you could just do this and copy this, right? And this can go there. And now if you give the user a code, then they can put that code in as they register, and then it'll bypass this whole process. So that's pretty cool. Oh, one code per life. Oh, added 10. There they are. And you enable that. So that will now let people immediately register with a code. So if that removes this whole approval process. So if you want it to be open to everybody, but you don't want to have to approve, then you can give people an individual code and it'll let them log in themselves. Just an extra little step to make it a semi-private site, if that makes sense. So interesting use cases here. This is new user approved from WP Expert Theo or something. Questions, comments about that one? Okay. Moving down the list to error log viewer. So in the whole PHP 8 upgrade that many of you have fought through or are currently fighting through, error logs have become your friend, I think, probably, hopefully. And you've gotten used to going out and looking at those error logs to see what plugins are not quite PHP 8 or 8.1 or 8.2 compatible. And it's kind of hard to go through and get into your file manager and look at all that. This is a plugin that brings those error logs into WordPress and actually makes it easier to monitor them. So let's go and activate this one. This is Error Log Viewer from Best WebSoft. And down here, we have a top level menu item. And all right, so look what we have here. So we've got a couple of different error logs that we can look at. And we just checked on, this is our standard PHP error log. It's located here. And we can actually go into the log monitor. And look, we have the actual, right here in WordPress, we have the log. Look at that. So this was probably when we upgraded or we downgraded our version of WordPress and the world came to an end. So this was something in WordPress core that created a problem. Who knows, right? But we can actually, from here, we can save this out as a text file. Do I only want to see the last X number of lines? I want to see the log from, some date to some date. You can do that here. Really cool. And I can actually even clear the log file right here. And it'll just go out there and delete that log file. That's kind of cool, right? The other thing that's neat is I can actually set notifications. So I want to send emails to my user and digest those maybe once a week with issues that pop up in my error log. So I like this a lot. This is a great little tool that will let you easily monitor the error logs on your site without having to be have to go through all the process of individually monitoring. So, yeah, this one's pretty neat. It is error log viewer from Best Websoft. Any questions or comments on that one? Cool. I like this one. No questions, no comments. Pretty nifty. Okay. Last but certainly not least, in the past, we have talked about WordPress Playground, and it is quite cool. WordPress Playground is, let's see, it is, well, I can't remember what you are. I'm going to just go WordPress.org. It'll probably come up right here. There it is. Developer.wordpress.org/playground. Okay. If you've never played in WordPress Playground, you should, because it's super cool. It is a WordPress instance in the browser. And so right now, okay, it just installed WordPress. This is WordPress running in my browser. It is a fully functional version of WordPress. It is just for me right here. It is running in temporary storage space in the browser, although you can change that to be persistent, which is stored in the browser until you dump your cache. You can also even download this to a directory or a folder on your computer and run WordPress from there through your browser. It's really cool. It's great for spinning up a test site to test some things. And it works, it's super fast. It just works really, really well. Now, that's just WordPress Playground out of the box. This plugin does something interesting. Where is it? For WordPress Playground. There we go. So what this will allow you to do is from within WordPress, in the Playground area, you have some options. Clone your site with its theme and all its plugins in Playground. Now, I got to say, I got really excited about this. It only works with free themes and plugins, though. So it's not like you can push your whole site over to Playground and you get like an instant staging site. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. And it makes sense because Playground has to pull in from the free WordPress plugin directory. So I can click this and it gives me a list of all my active plugins of which ones I want to plug in. But look, you want to make sure that you uncheck all non-repository plugins. That's kind of a bummer. But what it would let you do, if you have a site that's just all free plugins, you could just push it right over and it actually would be an actual staging site for you, which is kind of neat. But it does have the option of creating a playground from scratch with generator. So what plugins do I want? So you could enter a comma separated list of plugin slug. Put that there. Your theme, like if I want to start out with Cadence, I'm just going to do that. I can select my WordPress version, latest, PHP version 8.2. I want this to be temporary, and I'm going to hit generate. And so it is now, oops, always on. It is now going to open up Playground with Cadence installed. And whatever other plugins I had put in there by their slug, comma separated slug, it would have put those in as well. So that's kind of cool. Also, you have the ability to play with any theme from the WordPress plugin directory. This is kind of cool. Watch this. You can say, I want to view this one in Playground, and it'll open it up for you. Boom, there it is. Or you can say, I want to look at plugins. So here's my plugin list. And let's just say I want to try this error log viewer. I don't know if this is going to work. Sometimes there are issues in WordPress Playground with plugins that want to do things that are kind of server related. But I can, oh, it's active here already. Well, let's just do this one. Move that to Playground. Yeah, it's going to give a problem. Some plugins don't play well with Playground. But there you go. Kind of cool. So if you've never played around with WordPress Playground, do it. this gives you a few more little things to play around with. And yeah, it works really well. Questions or comments about that one? That is Toys for Playground from Mark Arminju. Any other questions, comments before we wrap this one up? All right. Well, thus ends the September 2023 plugin roundup here on iThemes Training. So we end with the question that we always end with. One vote only, please. What was your favorite plugin of the roundup? These votes will count towards the best of plugin roundup that we'll do at the end of the year. So rollback. Sitemap, error log, sitemap, log, shortcode, event shortcodes, new user, error log. Looks like error log viewer and simple sitemap are the favorites. Error logs, shortcode, sitemap. Last chance to vote. Rollback. Yep. Rollback. All right. Looks like rollback, sitemap, and error log viewer are all kind of, yeah. Those three are winners, and it's pretty well balanced between those. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Tomorrow, let me remind you that tomorrow we have things happening. Here we go. Tomorrow, we have Thomas Rafe from We Watch Your Website with us talking about the three-dimensional strategy for WordPress security, talking about server security, WordPress security, and user security. Thomas is brilliant. They manage well over 1 million sites at We Watch Your Website. I can't remember the number exactly, but it's a lot. It may be on his bio, actually. He's just a delightful person. Yes. 5.5 million sites they've removed malware from over the years. And they monitor the files and databases of over 6 million sites today. So just that amount of data, this guy knows what he's talking about with WordPress security. And Thomas is going to be with us talking about securing your server, WordPress, and user. If you can't make it, the replay will be there. Obviously, here is the link for that one. Also, let's see, of course, office hours is on Thursday. And then next week, we have Fly and office hours as well. There's something else going on the next week. I don't remember what that is. Let's see. Oh, yes, September the 12th. I don't have it up there yet, but September the 12th, we will be having Timothy Jacobs, the lead developer for Solid WP, on to talk about passkeys. So passkeys, of course, are the future of passwords and passwordless living. It can't come soon enough. Since the last time we did a passkeys webinar, which was last year, you've seen now the broader implementation of passkeys along a lot of high security websites like PayPal and your bank, perhaps, and Stripe and others have begun to implement passkeys. iThemes Security began supporting passkeys as the first WordPress plugin to do that natively. And Timothy's going to be talking about how that process works, what's changed, and how you can better implement passkeys for yourself and your clients. That's coming up next Tuesday. I'll have all those events up here very shortly. Well, thanks for hanging out with me for the last little bit here. Hopefully you found a couple plugins that were interesting. I'll be back here tomorrow with Thomas Rafe on that three-dimensional strategy for WordPress security. Hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll see you back here tomorrow on iThemes Training, where we go further together.